Right, so now our event is almost coming to an end. However, we would like to extend our event by 10 minutes to be able to answer some of your questions. And we really apologize for this, but I hope you will stay until the end. So let me now start our Q&A session. Many of the questions have already been answered in the Q&A box, and I would like to pick some questions that many of you have repeatedly asked. So perhaps, Professor Matsushita, I could address this question to you. Student is asking about scholarship in computer science program.
Yes, we have scholarship programs offered from our school as well as university level scholarship. And all the information is available on our school's website. So please consult with our school's website for the details.
Thank you very much. While we are on scholarship topic, there were many questions about scholarship. So Dr. Clement, could you comment about scholarships for undergraduate and graduate students?
Right. So thank you, Ariano Sensei. So as has been explained by the presentation by Jaso, you can either be supported by the Japanese government through the Japanese government scholarship, which you have to apply for the undergraduate level at your home country. For the graduate level, you can apply through the university. For other scholarships, either you get funded by a scholarship providing foundation in your home country or by a scholarship providing foundation in Japan after you arrive in Japan. Probably some of our international students can share the process of applying for a scholarship.
Ms. Hanvi, please.
So I am a recipient of the MEXT scholarship right now. For me, as a student in a small program, I got the scholarship through university recommendation, which meant that in my application form, I had to indicate my intent to apply for the scholarship. And then my professors, the ones who formed this admissions committee for my program, also decided my candidature for the scholarship, and they interviewed me additionally for the scholarship after I was admitted into the university. Of course, for other scholarships, on the university message board, we regularly get updates about new scholarship opportunities. There's a special scholarship tab. So even if you're a privately funded student and you would like to get some scholarship while here, there's always opportunities for applying, and there's a lot of scholarships up for grabs. Most school students are able to get at least a partial scholarship while they study here.
Ms. Hong, would you like to add something?
To add on, in my case, I didn't know about the government MEX scholarship when I first applied to Osaka University. I came here as a privately funded student. And after I came here, I tried to maintain my GPA, and the international office was able to recommend me with a lot of private foundations, scholarship foundations. After I came here, I was able to reach to around 2 or 3 different private scholarship foundations. Now I am receiving MEXT SGU scholarship for 1 year. Yes.
That's great. Thank you very much. Now we've answered the questions about scholarships. I would like to move on to Professor Kai. There were a lot of questions, as you probably have seen in the Q&A box. But I would like to ask this question. How many international students are studying at your laboratory? And is there any like a quota for students that you can enroll in your lab?
Actually, because I was in Singapore, I think I'm attracting the international students a lot more than the other professors. And actually, I have 5 or 6. I can let me count. I think I have 6 graduate students, and then only 1 is Japanese. And actually, there was questions about the one international student is trying to reach the professors, but never get the reply back or something. But to be honest, some professors may not be actually so quick because they are very busy. But most of the professors who is especially hoping to get a PhD students should be able to reply you back. But I think before that, actually, in order to get a reply or a contact to the professors, I think you have to go through the website, and then because imagine that we be having so many emails from all over the world, and then just simply asking, are you taking the PhD students? And maybe I think you better to state like what's the intention, what you have to do, you want to do in the future, and why you are attracted to the laboratory or to that research in order to be a PhD student there. Did I answer the question?
Thank you very much. There were a couple of questions about technologies. So I would like to ask first Professor Matsushita. You showed many technologies in your presentation, and students asking how can students afford this? Do they have to pay extra?
You mean the equipment?
Yes, equipment.
Well, so these are covered by research fund, and the students are not paying any extra, money other than tuition, and so no, that's my answer.
Thank you very much. And there was also another question about internships. If students can contact you regarding internships, Professor Matsushita, and then maybe Professor Kai could answer.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so internships, we are actively looking for self-motivated and talented internships always. So yeah, if you think you are a good candidate, yeah, please feel free to send me an email.
For me, actually, I've been accepting the internship student of the undergraduate through the Osaka University program. I think it's a Frontier Lab. And Clement Sensei was talking about it, I think, and then the student can find out such a program in our website, Osaka University website. And my FBS doesn't have the undergraduate, but you could enjoy such an internship student while you are doing the undergraduate in your home country. So please think about and explore our OU website.
Thank you very much. There's a question to Dr. Zhang about accommodation, if students are guaranteed to have accommodations on campus.
Yes, we have. If you come here as a first-year student, we have dormitories especially for freshmen, and have 2 brand new dormitories here. Also, from the second year, we have a support office to help you finding other apartment outside of campus. Actually, we have different kinds of apartment nearby our campuses.
Dr. Lee, I mean, you.
Yeah, actually, we have a center called Center for International Education and Exchange. So in this center, they will provide Japanese courses from level 1 to level 7. So from just the start to the very professional level, the Japanese lecturer will support your Japanese learning. So. And all these courses is for free, yeah. And I think some international students also have the experience of learning Japanese, who can share some information. So yes, I took the courses that Professor was talking about, and I started at level 100 because I didn't speak any Japanese before coming here. The classes had exchange students, PhD students, master students, all kinds of students take these classes, and the classes were a great introduction into learning Japanese, but also there are other resources on campus as well. There's free language practice courses with volunteer Japanese students, and there's a bunch of other resources for students looking to learn language. So it's not something that you'd have to pay for or go to an outside language school. It's just about how much time you're willing to give to it.
Thank you. Professor Brandon, there's a question for you. Maybe you could answer this best. It's asking, what if pandemic continues? Our students are able to take online courses in each faculty?
Yes, so I think the basic policy right now is to try to go back to face-to-face classes if possible and if safe, still wearing masks and so on. But there are options for professors to continue offering courses in the online mode. And of course, if the pandemic worsens, then everything will probably go back to the online mode.
Thank you very much. Now, perhaps we can take the last final question. And I would like to take this time for students, because students are asking about how to strengthen their applications to be successful. So perhaps Professor Kai and Professor Matsushita and Professor Brandon and Clement, you could give some advice for students, what you think students should pay attention to.
Shall I start? Maybe, but because I just answered to the one for the graduate students. So, but the enrollment exam is depends on it's different from the schools to schools. And so I can tell what the case about the FBS, Frontier Biosciences. So we don't have the writing exam, but we have the presentation, then English scores like ISLETs or TOEFLs. So and the statement. So like I said, but first our schools request the applicants to all the applicants to write the host PI. So the student has to get the approval or permission to be the host PI or host supervisor first to apply for the graduate schools. So the students, most important thing is that they have to convince the PIs, professors, to be a host PI. So in order to do that, I think I wrote in the Q&A actually replies as well. So you have to actually convince the professors for your values, why you are hoping to enroll, what you want to study, and then what's for. So of course, all the professors want to have the motivated, talented students. So you have to really convince why you want to study in OU, and then what the personal history, what is your personal experiences which is motivating you, that kind of things. Then I can be convinced. That's all.
Thank you very much. Professor Matsushita, do you have?
I just would like to echo what Professor Kai mentioned, and I totally agree with her. And for master course, the vast majority of students enroll by taking the entrance exam, which is written exam. And for PhD course, we typically don't have written exam, but we do have entrance examination by presentation and some other things. So for that, what's important is really showing your capability so that the professor are convinced that you will be able to complete the PhD study. So that's probably the first important thing. And, as Professor Kai mentioned, showing your motivation and excellence will be very useful in order to convince the professors.
Great, thank you very much. Professor Brennan, would you like to say something?
Yeah, I think the situation for Japanese universities is very different to what you find in other parts of the world, where you might be evaluating, say, a degree program and thinking, should I apply for this degree program versus another degree program? I think in the context of applying to a Japanese university, it's really about finding the right professor. So you have to spend a lot of time looking at the different professors, their laboratories, the kind of research they're doing. And then you might be comparing professors between different universities, and then you make the approach. And then that's when the professors you start this conversation, and the professor starts to get a better understanding of who you are and what your interests are. So I think it's really important for the student to do their research.
Thank you very much. Professor Clement?
If I can add, I cannot agree more with what Professor Kai and Professor Matsushita have already described. So you really need to show us that you are motivated, that you can complete the duration of your study. For the undergraduate level programs, we usually look at your standardized test. So if you're an IB student, you have an IB diploma, we look at your IB scores. But we pay a lot of attention to the essay, to the statement of intent. And because we want students who can complete 4-year undergraduate study without having to go home without a degree, right? So I really need to pay attention to what Professor Kai and Professor Matsushita have already described.
Thank you very much. And thank you everybody for very interesting, good questions. And thank you for all the presenters for answering them.